Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. It's Monday. Hope you guys all had a great weekend. Got to spend some time with some family. Enjoy yourself. Have a good, solid, restful weekend. And now we're about to get started and do what we do each and every day. I will say today we're going to go a bit shorter than usual. I've got about 15 minutes this morning, so I'm going to fly through really what are my 4 or 5 major markets, because there's not a whole lot to cover, but there is some things to talk about. So if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you come here regularly, hit that little thumbs up icon. Takes you half a second. I'd appreciate it. No, Noah, not too much candy. Not too much candy. We just have I've got a 5-month-old that's due with her. That's got a doctor appointment this morning. That's all. What do they call them? Well check visits. So, the well check needs to get a visit. So, we're going a little short. We always get the first, we try to get the first appointment of the day, because if I get the first appointment of the day, I don't have to sit there for 45 minutes when I've made a 9 o'clock appointment and don't get in the doctor until 9:45. Drives me bonkers. I don't know if you can tell. All right. So, let's move in here and talk about our market. So, in the ES this morning, let me shrink this down so you guys can see the chart. So in the ES this morning, we are actually up 37 points. Now, that's a sharp contrast to the fact that last night we were down. And one of the things that we talked about last night was the fact that there weren't a lot of great reversal levels. We did our live trade room last night. For those of you that were on the live trade room, we talked about the fact that there weren't a lot of great reversal levels. We had the ES, the NQ, and then we had talked about the Russell and the Dow, all of them giving potential breakout levels to the upside. And why were we looking for upside breakout? Well, one of my dear friends, Mr. John, pointed out that our 4-hour was giving us a completely different picture here of the MACD rocketing straight up while price was moving sideways, giving us that picture that we could see some bullish divergence. And that's exactly what we saw, was a little bit of bullish divergence. So that bullish divergence caused price to rally straight up. We got a little bit of basing down here. This is actually on an hourly chart, a little bit of a minor bottoming pattern. When I look at this on the daily chart, I think our daily chart is definitely in a bigger picture topping pattern, but I wouldn't be surprised to see price rally back up to this 3,400 area. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see us rally back up to this 3,400 area before election between today and tomorrow, as the results aren't going to start coming in until tomorrow night. I could see us kind of rocketing back up into this region. Now, then what happens? All bets are off, right? And I know a lot of people, and I talked about this last night, I've gotten a lot of people who've said, hey, should we trade on election night? So here's the way, and I've used this analogy before, and a lot of people have heard it. But if you're walking in the park with a dog, right? If you're walking in the park and a dog comes running up at you, you can pet the dog if you want to, or you can not pet the dog and take a little bit more cautious, feeling there, right? If you're by yourself, you might even be more comfortable petting the dog. What if you're there with your 3-year-old child, right? What if you're walking through the park with your 3-year-old child and a big Rottweiler comes running up at you? Now, there's chances that that's going to be a really nice dog, but I'm not willing to take that risk of something I don't know of what can happen. And that's kind of the way I look at these futures markets trading on election night. Yeah, they're going to get contested, Dennis. There's no doubt in my mind, right? And so I'm just, if you're going to trade, now I'm not saying I'm not going to trade, but I will tell you it'd probably be on the micros side of things, because a lock limit, a limit down or a limit up can hurt you depending on your directional bias. Now, it can also help you, but you got to be right? Okay. So there's my public service announcement for this morning. So we have rallied up. We didn't get quality basing here at 32.96. I'm going to remove that line, but I will look and see if we've got a good entry on the 15. And when I look here on the 15-minute chart, we did bounce up starting at the origin of this move here. So I'm going to replace this level. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know if we're going to know the outcome or not. And once again, I mean, I don't want to say that I don't care, but I don't. But my job is and I've said this. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. My job is to take care of the 5 people that are under this roof, and then everything from me. My job are to take care of the 5 people under this roof, and the person that's in office doesn't really change that. So all I'm going to do is continue to trade the market as it gives me something to do. And that's what I care about. So this is where I'm looking at 32.73, 32.68. I think that would be a decent little pullback area. There are a couple of wick over wick areas here where we might pull back and get a reversal, but that's a decent zone. NASDAQ, last night we looked at this little wick over wick here, and our determination was that this wasn't a great wick over wick. My fear is that this wick over wick would make the breakout trade a little bit less ambitious on the move, and that's kind of it's not a great wick over wick for a short, but it's definitely helping to stall price. So if we come back into that region, now I'll go to the 15 to see is there a reversal somewhere around where that breakout occurred, and lo and behold, there is. It would be basically the same level that we had in the S&P. Decent little arrival is coming into it now, so we may get a little reversal off of that zone. 11.091, 11.068. Next is the Russell. So here in the rut, we've got a little bit of sideways price action, definitely showing me what would traditionally be a bottoming pattern because of that sideways accumulation picture. We've got a supply level up here. That supply level up here is where I would see price hit and kind of come back down. When I go to the 15-minute chart and I look on a smaller time period, this actually has a little bit better wick over wick picture here. That's not quite all the way down to the origin of the move. Missed the top one. So the 1600 area on the rut, this area way up here, Dennis, I think that's a great level. We're so far away from there, I didn't even really consider it. So I think overall that's a really good level, especially because it was a former area of support. We've got another level in between us, and so I didn't even consider it because we're still 43 points away. But yeah, certainly it's a good level. Then the last one was the Dow. Now, last night I did say that the Dow is the one that looked like the cleanest for a breakout to the upside. And the reason it looked like a cleanest upside breakout was because of the basing that we were getting kind of down in here. Now, when I look at this, if I will tell you it was the cleanest for the breakout, but I didn't take it. And the reason I didn't take it is because I was asleep. Because I laid down, I turned the computer off at about 9 o'clock, a little after 9, and we hadn't had enough basing yet for me to take the breakout, and I just went to bed. And I got to tell you, I never toss and turn when I go to bed without setting up a trade. I'm okay with that. And so, yeah, nice move away. It actually worked out really, really well. I don't know if any of you guys were able to set that one up and grab it. I'm a big believer that there will always be another trade, and that's what I'm going to wait for. But this one is my strongest market, which is, I know, odd to say that the Dow is the strongest market, but it also had the best. Bottoming pattern out of all 4 of our markets, and it was down 122 last night, and now we're up 369. So that's a 490 point swing between when we were looking at it last night, which was right about here, and where it is right now. So very, very strong move in that direction. We've got a demand area here. I'll be honest, if we can continue the bullishness today, I don't know that we're going to make it to that, but I'm going to put it in play anyway. All right, so those are our 4 equity markets. Let's take a look really at our commodities, energies, and metals. So last night we looked at crude oil. We had a big gap down in crude, and then price immediately started to run away. Now, it has since begun to fade the gap, meaning trading in the opposite direction of the gap. We did wrap our lines around the gap area, and this gap area is 3560 by 3582. Now, if you trim that down to a 15-minute, which you can if you want, you could even shrink that level up some more. Now, I will say there's a level up here that's also very good. That's making me a little bit more cautious because this gap area, think about it, this gap area, if you have an entry here and a stop up here, that's your exposure, that's your risk. Here's your 1-to-1 reward to risk, and here is your 2-to-1 reward to risk. So right now it's offering me almost exactly a 2-to-1 reward to risk. If we get any basing between now and then, we get 2 or 3 candles, even on a 15-minute chart, then I'm not going to want the bottom level. I'm going to want to look to the upper level. Okay? Yeah, that gap is a bit too obvious, Liz. I would agree with that. I think we're better off at the upper level. Matter of fact, for just that purpose, let's take this and make this a confirmation entry. And I'm going to set an alert up right at the bottom of it. There you go. Next, gold. So looking at gold, we did have a really good trade off of this wick over wick from Friday, which price moved down out of there nicely. We're coming up to this next one right up in here, and that is coming at 1896 half by 1898, roughly. So looking at this area, this is also an area where it was a prior area of support. So I think we could still get a little reversal. Once again, to me, this is a little day trade off of an area like that. That's just a little bit of a day trade off of that area. And 4-hour chart is giving me a little bit of a bottoming pattern here. So I am seeing a little bit more momentum in my equities as well as some of my main commodity markets as well today. And all of those are things that I need to pay some more attention to. Looking at copper today. Now, copper, we have rallied up into a wick over wick supply. We've broken the line of this downtrend, which we talked a little bit about yesterday. So we've wicked up into this area of supply. If you are short right now, then your stop's pretty far away because you got to be above the closest your stop could be is up here. That's the tightest your stop could be. Realistically, it should be above the pivot. And so that means that you are looking at a 1-to-1 reward to risk here, and then a 2-to-1 reward to risk down here. So you're looking at 3.047 as your target if you take that short. If you've not taken the short yet, you're going against the momentum, but you could still it could still work out just fine because our big picture trend is still down. But once again, if I take a look at this and I throw my momentum indicator on here, what am I going to see? I'm going to see that my momentum indicator is going up while my price is still going down, and that is a bullish sign. Okay, so if you're in it, make sure you know where your stop is. If you're not in it, you're going just a little bit against the momentum. You're going with a trend, but against the momentum, and it's definitely shifting, telling me that there's a chance price could come back up. So I would not jump in it now if I wasn't already in it. If I'm in it, by the way, it's not a bad trade. It's following all of your rules. Your stop just has to be up above this pivot high. All right. Oops. Oh, twice. I really wish I could move that on-demand button. Looking really quickly at some of our bonds and currencies. We didn't have too much to talk about in the ZN or the ZB last night. The euro, we had talked about a potential breakdown in the euro, and we were on the hourly level. We talked about a potential breakdown in the euro, and we did get a little breakdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles later, it had gone absolutely nowhere, and it's still gone nowhere. And that was the more aggressive breakdown. The other one we talked about was down below this low. So, the euro's definitely still continuing its downtrend. I think the better chance is for price to continue to roll over and head back down. If you want to go on a smaller time period, look for a potential break of one of these lines. Although we could break out to the upside, and then you have basically clean air running up to here. So I think look for a breakout one way or the other. If you get the breakout here, your target has to be just in front of this area of supply. Now, once again, our 4-hour still hasn't changed. Our 4-hour trend is still very much down. Canadian dollar did break out above its little breakout line that we spoke about last night. A little bit of basing in here before the pop. If you didn't take it and you don't love it, the basing is not super close. So it's not, we found the level on the hourly chart. Basing is not super close. It's not terrible. And so if you took it, your stop has to go probably down below this wick, although it's not quite the last full pivot. Your stop should go below this wick. If you didn't take it and you want to, allow price to retest one of these areas, although I don't know if you're going to get a good retest if that breakout is going to continue to run. All right, and then on these ones, the New Zealand dollar, we talked about a potential breakdown last night. We said if we get no basing here, price is probably going to break through here and then reverse off of this demand level. That was our talk, is that if we get no basing, we break through here, we reverse off this demand level. If we get quality basing, then it's going to blow right through this demand level. Well, we got really neither. We got no basing, and it just kind of bounced up off of that more of a support line, right? So when I look at that, I think that, okay, that breakout is still in play, but I'm going to also pay attention to this supply up here, 6557, 6665. All right. Unfortunately, that is all that I have time for today. I told you guys that I was going to run a little bit shorter today, as I've got some family stuff to do this morning. But there are a couple of levels still kind of hanging out there in a few markets. Here's what I would say is to trade with an abundance of caution. I think we may see the markets kind of move around in between zones the next 2 days while we're gearing up for the election. And so just be cautious. Keep an eye on the trade feed, as we will continue to put the trade feeds and the trade updates out there today. If you guys have any questions, please, as always, shoot me an email, chuck.fulkerson@tradersarmy.com. You guys are absolutely amazing. I will catch you tomorrow morning. See ya.